Hey everyone, it's Noir Tales. I'm your internet story hunter, and if you knew how deep into Reddit rabbit holes I go, you'd understand why sleep is overrated. I think I underestimated the complexity of the delivery service. So, this guy's working his regular delivery gig, hauling waterbeds. Yeah, those old monsters that weigh a ton and slosh around. He gets an order to set up an especially fancy oak-framed bed in a pretty average-looking house. Everything's going smoothly. They're halfway done filling the gigantic mattress when the homeowner bursts back into the bedroom, freaking out. Guy's all, "Hey, can you move the bed, just for a sec?" If you've ever tried to move a half-filled waterbed, you know it's not as simple as just shifting it over a few inches. When they explain the hassle, the homeowner starts hinting at a generous payout. The reason? The bed's covering an old metal grate in the floor, something left from when the house had an old furnace. While the delivery guys watch, the owner lifts the grate and, like he's performing a magic trick, pulls out 2 brick-sized bags. No mistake about it, this is a secret white powder stash, probably worth more than everything else in the house combined. The room goes quiet. The homeowner quickly peels off a hefty cash tip for each of the delivery guys, $300, just to keep this little treasure hunt between them. He even offers them a taste of the product as a bonus, but the storytellers, wisely, stick to the cash and hurry to get the bed finished and the heck out of there. Makes you wonder if part-time furniture movers should be charging extra for discoveries. Let's switch gears for a moment, from hidden danger under the bed to unexpected luxury in the middle of nowhere. Some delivery gigs take you straight into high society madness. Today's delivery story comes from a guy who claimed, "Sometimes, when you're hired to move furniture, what you're really moving is someone's past." Brace yourself. This one's straight out of a low-budget crime flick. Here's what another pizza delivery driver shared online, and honestly, it sounds like something out of a very expensive fever dream. When this guy was still in high school, he got assigned a massive pizza order, more than 20 pies plus drinks, for a huge horse farm with a mansion. The directions? There was a handwritten note on the front door. "Please load all pizzas onto the four-wheeler out back and drive them to the polo field." Intrigued and a little confused, he found the ATV with a trailer, loaded all the pizzas, and drove it straight across the property, thinking, maybe this is what VIP service means. Out on the field, there were dozens of horse trailers, fancy people milling around, and the chaos of what could only be described as a full-scale polo party, with about as much order as a rock concert. As he rolled up, the host's wife came sprinting over, fuming that her husband had made the delivery kid haul all this food. She took him around, introduced him to the boisterous, very tipsy partygoers, and made a point of letting them know what he'd been through. Instead of being annoyed, the crowd turned into his biggest fans, dishing out tips left and right. 10s, 20s, 50s, even hundreds. Before he'd even realized it, his pockets were stuffed with cash. On top of that, the wife, with a sly grin, handed him a check for $800, just to really annoy her husband. All told, the kid made about $1,450 in tips on that one delivery. He even spread the wealth, giving $100 to each of his fellow drivers back at the shop. There's unexpected bonus, and then there's accidentally making a semester's tuition off one pizza run. Alright, so we've gone from midnight mansion polo parties to the everyday chaos of luxury tips. But sometimes, just doing your job can put you right in the middle of something truly dangerous, before you even know it. Here's one I found from a beer delivery guy, and this one had my heart pounding just reading it. He was making his usual rounds, dropping off cases at a gas station convenience store. Everything seemed business as usual. He finished up, stowed his hand truck, and was about to climb back into the cab. That's when he caught a glimpse in his side mirror. A huge, scruffy-looking guy was speed-walking right up behind him. The delivery driver barely had time to turn when the world exploded into flashing lights. 6, maybe 8 police cars screeched into the lot, officers leaping out, hands on their guns, shouting for everyone to get on the ground. Frozen, not really sure if this was actually happening, he was yanked aside by an officer. No idea what words were said, since by then even a police helicopter was circling overhead. Within seconds, the mystery man was cuffed and on the ground. The police radio crackled. "We got him." After a wait, things calmed down. The delivery guy never learned who the man was, just that apparently he'd nearly been caught in the middle of something way scarier than a late beer run. Only later did he realize just how easily things could have gone wrong. Honestly, this whole story sounds like a real-life GTA moment. You're just minding your own business and suddenly it's 5 stars and a helicopter shows up, and you have no clue what you did to deserve it. The next story is pure, unexpected wholesomeness. A pizza delivery driver gets an order from a kid he knew back in high school. A really kind guy who happened to have some mental challenges and was well known for being absolutely obsessed with WWE wrestling. So the driver rolls up, knocks on the door, and Andy opens it, looking completely calm. The driver greets him. "Hey Andy, got your meat lovers tonight." Without missing a beat, Andy takes the pizza, sets it inside, and then, out of nowhere, unleashes a perfect stone-cold stunner right there on the porch, just like his wrestling heroes on TV. Then he calmly shuts the door as if this was all perfectly normal. The driver, caught off guard but genuinely amused, can't stop laughing. He's so entertained by the whole situation that he pays for the pizza out of his own pocket and heads back with a big smile. "That's the craziest money in the bank cash-in I've ever seen, Andy. Title belt unlocked." And just when you think you've survived all the real-world chaos, sometimes the job throws you straight into a horror game demo. No save points, no warning, and definitely no bonus for nerves of steel. This next delivery sounded like it came straight out of a campfire ghost story. A pizza driver arrives at a house that's completely dark. No lights, nothing. He knocks, and a 10-year-old girl answers the door. She looks up and says, "You interrupted me." When he asks her what she was doing, she calmly replies, "Talking to the devil." Already feeling uneasy, the driver tells her she probably shouldn't do that. That's when he feels something tap his shoulder. He turns around and comes face to face with a full-on demon. He screams and nearly drops the pizza. Suddenly, the girl drops to the floor, laughing her head off, and her dad yanks off the demon mask. Yep, turns out it was just their idea of a fun prank. All in Santa Barbara, courtesy of Pizza Mitza. And not even an extra tip for his troubles. People say this job isn't for the faint of heart, but honestly, it's the customers who will haunt you way longer than any ghost story. No tip, no therapy voucher, just another day in delivery. But not every delivery drops you into suburbia. Sometimes, it feels like you've crossed a portal and ended up smack in the middle of the Middle Ages, where knights, castles, and mysterious beasts still roam free. Once upon a time, in the faraway kingdom, there lived a brave courier, tasked with delivering not 1, but 5 steaming pies to a grand manor at the edge of town. The castle stood dark and silent. No torches lit, no servants in sight. After knocking thrice upon the heavy oaken door, our hero was met by a mysterious lord who, in few words, beckoned him to enter the great hall. Though the ancient wisdom of the delivery guild forbade him from crossing the threshold, our fearless courier stepped inside. What sights did he behold? There, gleaming in the shadows, stood a full suit of armor, a silent sentinel beside the door. Echoing through the halls, eerie laughter and ghostly voices spilled forth from some arcane magical relic known only as the Haunted Compact Disc. As the lord of the manor searched his robes for coin, the bravest hound in all the land, larger than any beast the courier had ever beheld, lumbered forth from the depths of the castle. With one mighty leap, the hound knocked the courier to the flagstones and sprawled beside him in loyal companionship. And so, our humble hero sat petting the enormous beast, flanked by ancient armor, awaiting his due reward from the mysterious lord. A well-earned tale for the next gathering at the local tavern. Man, gotta love those crazy rich people. And just when you start thinking there's nothing left that can surprise you on the job, reality offers up something that feels straight out of a surreal comedy. In his very first month as a pizza delivery driver, A guy is sent to a small apartment building. He knocks, and an old, scruffy man with a thick Russian accent opens the door, asks for the total, and disappears to get money. While waiting, the driver notices the man's wife sitting in a recliner, chattering away, seemingly on the phone with a friend. Meanwhile, he can hear coins clinking as the old man counts out change, clearly planning to pay entirely in nickels and dimes. Minutes pass. The woman keeps on talking and laughing. Finally, the old man comes back and says something to his wife. She spins her chair to face the driver, and he realizes there's no phone anywhere. She's just talking to the wall as if her best friend were right there. A bit unsettled, the driver watches as she turns back to her conversation, and the man hands him a bag full of small change. No quarters, just nickels and dimes. "Is 20 cents for you," he says as a tip. So the driver heads out into the summer sun, bag of coins in hand, and mind still spinning from the 15 minutes spent with a woman talking to the wall. Back at the shop, his manager just shrugs. "Hey, you never know what you'll see." A while back, someone said they delivered a pizza to a porn shoot. Naked women everywhere. No idea if that part was true, but by this point, nothing would surprise him. Honestly, I didn't expect anything different. I'll just tell you a different story. Sometimes, the strangest delivery isn't about what you see, it's what you walk right into. Late one night, Netizen was delivering a pizza for Papa John's. He was a bit annoyed since he couldn't double up deliveries, which meant fewer tips. He arrived at the address, rang the bell, and a very attractive girl opened the door. She was only wearing underwear and a jacket that wouldn't close, holding it together with her hands. She definitely looked caught off guard. Pizza guy smiled and said, "Hello, miss. Sorry about the wait. Here's your pizza." But right then, she blurted out, "Oh, he's not supposed to be home for another 4 hours." From the look on her face, it was clear the he she meant was her boyfriend, whose name was on the order and whose card had paid for it. And just as Pizza Guy was trying to figure out what was going on, another guy sat up from the couch in the living room, also looking pretty surprised. Her boyfriend had figured out she was cheating, and, as his own kind of passive-aggressive message, ordered pizza for his girlfriend and her secret lover, letting them both know that he knew. Delivery guy had to get her to sign the receipt for her boyfriend's card, and then he got out of there as fast as he could. Some deliveries you just want to forget. Honestly, sometimes you deliver more awkward truths than actual pizza. The next challenge isn't the people, it's their pets. Let's read. One night, delivering pizza in New Jersey, I stepped onto a porch and immediately saw a snarling Rottweiler behind the door. Not the first time. Dogs bark at strangers, I get it. The lady holds the dog back. I hand over her pizza. Easy enough. But just as I'm about to leave, she suddenly yells, "Oh my God, he's out!" Turns out, the back door was open, and her first Rottweiler came charging around the house. Instinctively, I try to run inside for cover, but the woman screams, "No, the really bad one is inside!" Now I look and see an even bigger Rottweiler waiting in the hallway. So there I am, literally trapped between two doors, one angry dog outside trying to get at me, a bigger one inside blocking my escape. The outside one manages to bite me on the calf through the screen door. Not a huge wound, but now I'm bleeding. My manager comes over, the house was close to the store, he actually shows up himself, and they pen up the dogs out back. While the manager's talking to the lady, a tiny mutt zips out the door and bites him right on the hand. That was it. My manager made the call. No more pizza deliveries for this address. Ironically, he arrived with a pizza, but ended up being the filling in a sandwich between two Rottweilers. And just when you think you've seen it all, sometimes the whole customer surprise goes in a direction you could never predict. Guys, this is definitely a first-person narrative. I rang the doorbell, and a woman about my age, around 23, opened up. The usual. Pizza, payment, brief small talk. Suddenly, another woman who looked like her mother walked up, looked at her daughter, and said, "Well, if you're not going to do it, I will." Then, right in front of us, she takes off her shirt. I tried not to look completely baffled, while the young woman just looked mortified. The mom laughs and says, "Don't be shy. You can look at them, you know." So, I did a quick glance. Yep, boobs. Then nodded politely at the mom, said thank you to the daughter, and made my exit. The daughter just looked like she wanted the earth to swallow her up. But hey, they tipped well. So, all in all, pretty decent delivery. I thought I'd meet some cheesy jokes, but I met a cheesy moment. So if you ever think your workday is weird, just remember, somewhere, a delivery driver is living through the plot of a movie you'd never believe. Create your own personal ranking list, and don't forget to write it in the comments. Stay tuned for more internet quirky stories. I say goodbye, but not so long. Remember, the weirder it gets, the better the story.